All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Citon Rivera. We'll be having our next meeting with me once again about skin winning. I know you've been trembling, you've been excited, you couldn't sleep. You're like wondering, he left out with a cliffhanger about skin winning, and I needed to know. It's been a week. Antonio, I need answers. I'm here to save you with all those questions with plenty of answers. So, what the flip is skin weighting? That's a good question. Skin weighting comes right after the setup is done. The rigger will begin a process called skin weighting. Skin weighting is a process where the rigger or painter starts painting how the deformation, which is adding weights, on the mesh and how it will bend and move. So you probably be answering all those questions down below. How will the elbow and knee bend? How does the wrist twist? How will the face move? What if it's stretchy? That's what you were gonna answer. So it's like the most important thing in the entire rigging process. It's like probably goes like 50% setup, 50% skin weights. You can be a master of your setup, but man, you can be trash at skin weights and your rig will not do any good. I mean, here's a few lovely examples. On the bottom right, it's just literally broken. It's just broken. So, how do we get started? It's by opening Maya. It's so simple. So we open up Maya. So I brought in two rigs that I want to see what you guys thought of. Bless you. So we have a realistic high poly character. We can work on that. Or we can use a low poly cartoony character. What do you guys prefer? Great! Low poly it is. So when we first started doing skin weight, we can't just paint. We need to first bind the joints onto the mesh. So how do we do that? So with this lovely rig that was used on, not used actually, but this same setup's from the advanced skeleton from last week. So this will be like a nice part 2 on how do we go from the setup to the weights. So here we have an advanced skeleton does a good job of having all the joints that you'll be using for deformations. So super useful. So it's just a matter of grabbing all of them. Not really, because there's a few joints that we do not need, which is primarily the toe end, the ring, index, the fingers, anything that's like an end joint, the jaw and the head, and the other side of the fingers. You don't need those. And you're probably asking why. They're also joints, they also move, so why not? Well, they don't really do anything. If we go here, we see like the joints. You see that the joints move. The joints move. Yeah, the joints falling after. But this one doesn't have anything. So it's like, what's the point? So we're not gonna use those joints. So making sure I have all the joints I don't want. Gonna select the body. After we select all the joints, I'm gonna switch the tab to rigging. We're gonna press on the square button, and we're gonna press on the square on bind skin. Do we see this lovely screen with a lot of buttons, a lot of drop downs? We're like, Antonio, what the hell do you want me to say? What do you want me to put in? Well, bind. There's joint hierarchy selected and object hierarchy select. Press selected joints because you only want those joints and not the ones within the hierarchy, because if you choose joint hierarchy, it will grab these ones and you don't want that. All right? Then what's the point? Then what was the point of unclicking them? Keep closest distance, classic linear, dual quaternion, weight blended. This is very important because this depends a lot on how you want the character to be reacting. So classic linear is more bendy. It's gonna twist, and you're gonna see that twist very apparent on your mesh. But dual quaternion, it does a good job maintaining the mesh preservation. But it has limits. It does have glitches. It does have bugs. It's best to go with classic linear because it's proven to be the safest option. I know dual quaternion doesn't work well with faces. There's face rigging, so also keep that in mind. So we're not doing face rigging, but with this character, it is cartoony. It's gonna be stretching, bending. I want it to be classic linear. Interactive, last class, I was dumb enough to press post. Don't do that, all right? I forgot. Distance as well. I put max influence on 5. Maintain max influence. Remove unused influence and colorize skeleton. Please select colorize. You'll see why, because when you bind it, you'll know goddamn well it's working. So, it looks beautiful. It looks very colorful. That's great. What now? So, you'll see that with this rig, it'll have skin weights, and look at those. Isn't it beautiful? It's truly lovely. Each joint will have skin weights. Some prettier than others. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna delete all those. Delete all those skin weights. They're disgusting. I don't want it. I don't need it. We're gonna go to skin, paint skin weights, and then we see all these lovely joints that we just bind it right here. So that's great and all, but I have a question for all of you. Where do we start? Which joint? Root, hip, both correct. Well, so the root joint, it depends. Sometimes people place it at the origin of the myosine. In this case, our rig root will be on the hip itself. It works both ways. I know for game, people have the root in the center, but for Maya, it's just gonna be at the waist. I like it to be at the center. I don't know. It seems more. It clicks better with the animators. That it knows that this is the root control and whatnot. The same goes for, like, let's say you don't want to paint it, you want to pass it on to another rigger that wants to learn better skin weighting. Then that they will also understand that this is the root will be at the center. The hip is going to be part of the binding. So, all right, let's do that. So we click on the root. We're gonna max out those values. So for anyone who's not familiar with this monster of a screen, I'm sorry for going already at it, thinking that you all know. So here you'll see all the joints. They're all colorized. Here the modes. The modes will be selecting the geometry. This is helpful for when you want to, like, be specific on what you're gonna grab. You can grab edges, and that will reflect on it. So you see that it's highlighted. That applies for vertex, edges. It's great. Because if you want to be like, I want to, like, flood this area, it will do that. So we have paint operation replace, means that whatever skin weight it has, regardless if it's like maximal or the lowest value, it will replace that skin weight that you specify right here on this value. Scale means that it's going to remove skin weights. So let's say if you add 1, you can say that to lower it by this value. So it's going to be like 9.2. Add means that you're gonna add skin weights to it. So let's say if it has maybe 5 value, it'll have, you can add like maybe 0.2 values. So it's gonna be 0.7. Then we got smooth. Smooth. It's okay. It's okay for what it is. Smooth basically just like let's say you have a max value of 1 and 0, and there's an in-between. Smooth will create like that blend between each other. So it's going to be like, if it's 0 and in the following vertex is 1, it's going to be 0.5. So it's going to blend together nicely. Here, the profile are the brushes. Think of it like brushes in Photoshop. So this goes from like super harsh, medium, soft. Square is just straight up. It's just going to be harsh at all times. So keep it skin weight, keep it interactive. Opacity means how much of that one value you want to add. So let's say it's 0.2, and then that opacity will be like, it's always going to give that value. It won't go anywhere outside that value, but it will add very, very slowly. Think of it like, it's just like painting in Photoshop, but in Maya. And it's a lot, bless you, it's a lot more, it's very slow. It's very tedious. Very tedious process. So here we have the gradient color ramp. For me, I like to use black and white, but that's just me, because a lot of the times that what Maya will do is that you'll see white spots everywhere, and it really doesn't mean anything. It's like 0.1, but you barely ever see that 0.1 reflected when you move all the controls. It lies to you. Maya is such a big liar. So I usually tend to use this, but for the sake of tutorial, we're going to use the color ramp because this is the most popular one. So now we give like a little run. Now we're going to start max out those values. We want to replace everything. Boom. Oh wait, right, because I forgot that I have this edge. Hold on.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you describe the difference between opacity and value?
So imagine value is like the set limit. So let's say that value is 0.3. So you're going to be adding 0.3 always. But opacity is saying like how much do you want to add it. So it's like, let me give you a good example. So I'm going to scale. So this is 1. It's completely flooded. It's going to be the heaviest weight. Here, at all times, when I keep going, it will add little by little. So let's say I ramp up that value, you'll see the increase of colors. So to give you an understanding of what color means, it's right here. So red is the harshest, the blue is the softest. So let me lower that value, and let me flood it again. So here I'm at it slowly, but then when I lower that value, it's instantly blue. So opacity is seeing like how much do I want to add above how much weight do I want to add it, and value is like the value is the weight that you want to add. Opacity, how much of that weight do you want to add? That's the best way I can put it.
It's kind of like opacity gets multiplied to value.
Yeah.
So if you scale down the opacity, it will also scale down the value.
Basically. It's very similar to Photoshop. So you know how opacity just lowers the visibility? It's like that. It's basically like that. It's just how much of it do you want to see. So we flooded everything, and once we see that root, hold on, I'm gonna flood it. So we see everything else. Root is completely flooded with white. And then everything else is just, it's absolutely empty. We don't see anything on it. And that's perfect. Because this is my method. I know some people prefer some different type of approach. For me, we start from the root and we go all the way to the top. Meaning that we'll go a joint at a time. And yes, it's very tedious. So I won't go in detail with every single section, but I know that people are gonna be curious about how do we skin weight, for example, the clavicle, the shoulder, the fingers. Oh boy, the fingers, one hell of a beast. The face and whatnot. So we'll quickly cover it. Luckily, I went ahead and created several versions of him. So we'll skip to like the part when it's actually good, and we'll skip to the part where they're actually terrible. So you get to see the best of both worlds. That's beautiful. So we got the hip, and now we're gonna take these parts out. You can also like unhide the hierarchy. So that's very helpful to keep things organized, so you know which section is what. So we got the root flooded. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lock inverse. What it'll do is that once you have something selected, it'll lock everything that is not that selected item. So everything's locked except the root, which is what we need. And then we're gonna unlock the root part 1, which is the joint that's following up. So if you see here, it's all white, but you see that the whole joint, all the joints are blue. But when we click on root part 1, we see that everything from the upper body is blue and the rest is colorized. That's when we know that we selected the right joint. So because it's following up. So what we're gonna do is that we're going to select vertex, and we're gonna select everything that is within that's touching that joint, and grab everything that is above it. Nope. Over here at the top, it's like a it helps not be able to select certain type of objects. So here, I don't want to select joints. I don't want to select nerve controls. So now I can select everything, and nothing will get in the way. That's very helpful because you're gonna end up grabbing a lot of joints, and it's really annoying. Oh man. Hotkeys I'm using is shift and control that will let me grab everything despite me grabbing selected vertices, because if I just press shift, what will happen is that it will remove it. So shift and control will grab everything, even the ones that are selected. So that's very helpful. So we're gonna make sure that we selected everything from both sides. Cool. We selected everything. So now the tool settings, the paint tool disappeared. All you do, click back, and now it's back again. That's what it's gonna do. So whenever you're out of paint mode, you're gonna go back into the tool setting. And the only way to get back is by pressing this button here, or you can also have paint mode when you press right mouse click, the right button mouse click, and you see all the modes. And that's another way to get to paint mode. So once we get that part, we're gonna go to this joint and we're gonna flood. So now when we see the root, it's only grabbing the lower half, and the root part 1 is grabbing everything that's above it. So cool. Why? Well, the best way I can explain it is by making sure that when you go up, actually you'll see it once I go a bit further, because I don't even know how to put it into words. I realized I grabbed some joints I don't want, some vertices I don't want. So I'm gonna replace that, and now we make sure that both sides perfect. So now we're gonna start skin weighting. So at first you won't really see any difference when we start moving it, because this is how it's gonna look. The best way to really know what you're doing is by going to shading and turning on wireframe unshaded. Or if you want to be kind of a dangerous guy like me, what you do is gonna move the joints themselves. Only because there's no this setup is based on like linking multiple joints, so you're not really conflicting the main joint that's doing all the driving. So you can just safely move it. Control Z, and it'll be fine. So as long as you don't key it, it should be okay. It is not a very good it's not a very good tip, because normally you don't want to touch the joints at all. But for the sake of this tutorial, because there's no controller for me to move anything, because the only way to really know is by using this controller, and that doesn't do a good job either. So for now, we're going to use the joints. But don't listen to this. Don't listen to me. This is the one tip I tell you. Do not touch the joints when you're binding. I'm only doing this for tutorial purposes. Okay? I don't want anyone saying like, some guy from the rigging union told me to touch the joints. No, don't do that. All right? I don't want to hear any of it. So we're going to start bending forward, and we're going to start seeing this squash here, and that's disgusting, because when you belly roll, you don't really see that. So what is the shape that we're going for? So the best interpretation that I could say of what the shape that you want is this: a heart or a shitty bird. So this is the type of idea of what you want to, like, the type of silhouette that you want to capture in your skin weighting. So here's let's go back here. So this is not exactly a heart. It looks like after Valentine's Day, someone stomped on your little gift. That's really sad. We'll make it look like a heart. So there's multiple ways of going about it. We can select the vertices we want, open up this to paint mode, and we can start slowly adding in we can start scaling out the value, so we can start flooding it little by little. We can also do that, but we can also start actually brushing it. Unfortunately, I don't have a pen with me because I lost it. Oh yes, please. I lost mine. It's been sad days. Of course. So you can also do it by hand. I prefer to do it by pen because then I really feel like a painter. I feel like a sculptor. And that feels cool. So I recommend going little by little. So I'm going to start using smooth. So I'm going to increase that value a bit more. So we start seeing that body going up, and that's really what I want. So from the side view, we're starting to get a little bit of that shape that we want. It's almost there. It still look a bit curvy. I really want to push that pose. So the only way by doing that is by going to add, and we're going to push. No, sorry. That was not what I wanted. So I'm going to remove that. Start pushing in more. So I'm going to scale. Nope. Add. My bad. I've been using the component editor. So, trying to push that a bit more. I'm trying to push that, make it sharper. Actually just focus on one side for now. And then scale a bit more. I'm gonna start lowering that a bit. Almost there. We won't really get that hard shape that I really want because it's so low poly, so you won't really get that hard edge that you're really looking for. So gonna push it a bit more. It's almost there. I guess I won't really get to capture it that well, unfortunately, because it's so low poly. So I'm going to smooth it a bit more over here. It's going to be like this for a long time. You're going to be going back and forth between the vertices. You're like, man, it's almost there, kind of. And it looks pretty decent. I'm going to keep going. And you're like, well, it is what it is, man. Ah, shit, I forgot about the other side. What do now? So, it's a really, really good, no, this is not it. Nope, it's not doing this is not it. I pressed the wrong joint. It's this one. There you go. So he did so hard work. Oh my god, I spent hours upon that one joint, man. I don't want to do the other side. That's gonna suck. What do I do now? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing called air skin weights. So in the PowerPoint, you'll find a section right here that you'll be able to copy. So if you ever want to know what the settings I use, is right here. So basically, no, this is not it. YZ. Let me make sure I reset it so you get to see exactly what I do. So it's by default you see YZ, which is like mirror across from like the Y-axis to the C-axis, which is standard of where you should be placing your models in. Positive to negative means that it goes from screen right to screen left. But if you turn it off, it's going to be from screen left to screen right. Then do 1 to 1, so it'll go 1 to 1. That means like joint for joint, that it start evaluating. You can also do closest to joint and 1 to 1. I heard it works okay, but for me, I use 1 to 1. So let's say I'm gonna do something drastic, so you really get to understand that it does work. I'm not making stuff up, so I'm gonna lower this down, and I'm gonna make something really insane. So I'm gonna lower that scale. Make sure we see that disgusting skin weight. So now I'm going to run this mirror. So we mirrored it. So once I tilt it down, we see that the other side also has that disgusting skin weight. So hours of work, so much hours, reduced into what, seconds? Oh my god, thank god I don't have to do those disgusting hands again. Wow. So I won't bear you with going little by little, but the idea is for specifically the spine, it's going one by one. A good approach to do this is by I'm gonna max out those weights. Wait, am I clicking on the right joint? Cool. Come on, you almost got it. Come on. Nope. Come on. Works here, but doesn't work there. Man, what do now? I can't paint. So Antonio, you better give me a new solution or else I can't work. So, I do. But this is a more technical way of painting weights. So we're gonna open up a thing that I like to use a lot. I know a lot of my friends don't like to use this. And it's the component editor. And you're like, Antonio, what is a component editor? There's a lot of tabs. I'm kind of afraid. Please don't tell me that I'm going to use this. Is that, to be surprised, a lot of well-known riggers use this to skin weights. And that's because you select the vertices and you get to see exactly the value that's in that one vertex. Why is this important? So there's going to be moments that you see that one joint, and what you just saw now, you can't just grab it, and you're like, God damn it, I can't flood it. It has to be exactly in this perfect position, or else I'm gonna drive my head crazy. So from here, since we're painting on this one joint, we're gonna start sliding down, and we see that weight going down, and I'm like, right there. Oh, my OCD is happy now. So it's perfect, exactly how I want it. It's super helpful for getting those small details. So it's only for like those fine details. Or if you're like me, you use it all the time because you hate yourself. And there's no other word to put it. I just really hate myself. So this is super helpful. It's getting on those really fine details, and it's gonna make you and everyone else be like, wow, that guy sure knows how to paint weights. So I'm gonna skip time. I'm gonna go. Oh damn! I didn't name them. So I'm just going to hope this is the spine one completed. All right, guys. It's been 5 hours. Hopefully my skin weights are done. Let's see how this goes. Oof. Okay. It's a little bit sharp. It's grabbing the whole joint, so it's kind of decent. We almost gained that heart shape we want. This is almost the idea of what you're trying to go for. It is trying to get that heart shape, that nice fold. Because if you look at your, like, for example, your fingers, good fingers, you see that heart shape going on when you like see the folds. That's really a good indication where you can really know that you're doing a good job. It looks kind of sharp. I wish it could be a bit better, more defined, but that's just how it's gonna be. I think I fixed it. Hopefully, if not, I'm gonna be very sad. But it's very decent. If you feel like you're gonna push a pose and it's gonna end up like this, you'd be surprised that a lot of animators really do push the pose. There's gonna be folds where you feel like, oh my god, it's disgusting. But when you see that whole animation running, it's like you barely even notice it. It's almost normal. So you made your way up from the joints. Normally, you just go. Just in theory, so I can show you exactly what I did to the spine, is this. So I went joint for joint and I went layer by layer. This is not a good depiction because color ramp is a liar. I didn't use that many weights, but a good indication is going by layer. So you know how we did that? We like flooded the we flood it from this joint and everything else. That's exactly what you're gonna do. So you paint, you smooth out the section where you want it, and then once you're done with that joint, you grab the other section, you flood it from up above, and then whatever you have here, it's gonna stay the same because you're not grabbing anything from below, you're grabbing everything from the top. You keep going until you get to the chest, and that's pretty much that first step. Yes.
Do you lock joints as you finish them, or do you keep them unlocked?
That's a great question. We lock at all times. So, for example, let's say, let me open up this. So, once we finish, for example, we were doing the first joint here. So once I finish doing the skin weights for this one, I unlock this, unlock the joint after that. Once I finish with this joint that we were working so hard on it, we unlock the one before, and we unlock the one after. And that's a thank you for bringing that up. Lock your joints always. Lock your joints. If you see the president doing that, you know you need to lock your joints. Reason being, there's been times where you feel like I'm gonna work on, like, let's say I'm working on the leg, I left the wrist joint unlocked. It's not gonna happen. I'm so far away. Because you unlock the wrist joint, it will capture all that data because it will think for some reason that the joints, that some of the weight is being distributed from the wrist to that knee. Why? I don't know. Everybody wish I knew. Yes. So please lock the joints that you're not using and only the ones you're going to use. And even I, been doing skin weights for a while, still can't get that proper tip correctly because I still do it. I'm always dumb. So, after you do the beautiful spine, what next? What else? What other limb should I go for? Any suggestions? Clav?
Yeah, do claps.
Wait, what was yours? The clav? Arms? What should we go for? After the spine. It's right around the clav, but not the clav.
Oh, your neck, right?
You could do the neck, yeah. That won't be any harm. No, the sternum's within the spine. It's almost there. Not the clav, the shoulders. Or the neck. It works both ways. Here's the trick. So once you do for the clav, interesting enough, I learned this in Anonymous class. So you do the skin weights for the neck, you do the skin weights for the shoulder. And after that, it's just a matter of doing this clavicle. So it's just like, Antonio, that seems wrong. When you want to go from like the clavicle, then the shoulders, the trick is to paint the shoulders and the neck. Have them locked. And all you do is you flood this area, you like grab all the vertices. Because the shoulder and the neck is locked, and you flood everything, you should only grab the area that wasn't touched, which is the clavicle. So you spend hours, all those hours, it's going to be reflected in a single second. All you need to do is just smooth out the area. That's it. This clavicle is done. And it's the most painful process for me as a beginner because I didn't know that. So let me show you. So let's see. Hopefully this is the one this is a semi-okay shoulder. Semi-okay because it's like pretty decent for what it does. Again, try to shoot for those heart shape. For this shoulder, it's a bit too far off from like where it should be. It should be like closer to like the body itself. It's like more like hanging out from like the tip. Normally when you're doing the shoulder for modeling, you want to make sure that this edge right here, you see, hold on, let me click on edge. This edge should be more further in where you think it is, because you might think like right here where it like ends, that should be it, or it's more further in, because then you really get to see that sense. A good indication is right here. So you see that line right here. Well, you don't really see it, but it's right here. A good indication that the shoulder's more further in. It's more further into where the traps are. That's going to be very helpful because then you end up having this weird result. Hold on. Where the shoulders end way sooner than they should be. So that's also helpful for modelers as well. This is more cartoony, so that rule doesn't always apply. But if you're going for a realistic one, that's something important to keep in mind. Because when we do this, we have this fold here, but then really it moves the entire, you see more of that movement really comes from like this whole area right here. So, but also that also applies with clavicle. The clavicle, you only move your shoulder so much because you really move your whole clavicle or scapula, whatever. So if you really feel it, you end up moving your shoulder, but you end up moving your clavicle more than you should. So that's also a good tip to know. So let's start skin weighting. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't have the elbow done. Ah, perfect. Let's skin weight the elbow. So you don't want this. I don't need to tell you that you shouldn't do this. But if you think this is okay, we'll need to have a talk. President, we need to have a talk. So this is disgusting. No better way to say it. I didn't do this. I was fixing it, alright? So let's put up the skin weights to see where we are. We should be at the elbow. So I'm gonna lock these. And I look further and I should have the elbow here. Shoulder part 5. So ignore all these joints that's right here. This is a very different setup that you normally do. So just imagine there's only 3 joints. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. Yes? Yes.
So, but if we do have to rank all those joints, should we go do the whole thing that we did with the torso and like go?
Yes. Yes, you do have to do that. But for this sake, I know a lot of people, the majority here are like a bit higher level from that. But for the newer ones, I don't want to scare them. God, I hate this. It's not a very, for me, it's not a very intuitive setup for skin weighting. That's just me. So we have the shoulder part 5. I'm going to start skin weighting. I already did the process of like grabbing all the section, pushing it forward, grabbing like the vertices, flooding it, and I'm starting to like smooth the weights. So I'm going to unclick that and we're going to start cleaning that up. So I want what I said before. I want that hard shape that I really need. So man, I'm not getting in there. Antonio said to use a component editor. That's disgusting. I don't want to use that. Antonio, this brush is way too big. Is there any way to decrease this? Yes, you can. There's right here, radius L U. Let's see. I want to make it 0.2. It's a bit small. Oh wait, hold on. 0.1. Okay, maybe that's a bit too small. Let's go for 0.25. So it's a bit better. Start skin weighting right here. Maybe. There you go. We're pushing that out. I want to make it a bit harsher, so I'm going to use the solid one. Now we see more of those skin weightings more apparent. I'm going to keep smoothing those out. So it's really annoying. But we still seem that we grabbed too much of that area, so we're going to grab that ring. My arm doesn't do that, so it can't possibly, I shouldn't let it do that, so I'm going to flood it. It's getting there. We need to make those rings right here softer, so I'm going to use the soft, I'm going to grab that edge, I'm going to soft it up. Let me use the vertices instead. Gonna soft it up. So I'm getting there a bit more. I'm gonna harsh it up. I think that's as much as it can go. I'm gonna use this section right here. I'm gonna soften it up. It's giving more. It's almost there. I'm starting to like it a bit more, almost. So we're gonna push this more, and we're almost getting there. So we have that heart shape we want, but it's still not enough. It's still a bit lumpy. It looks like it still needs more love. So we're gonna stop grabbing the edges. I'm gonna start grabbing exactly what I want. So I want more of these area. I'm gonna start slowly adding some. Sorry, I'm gonna scale. And I'm getting it almost there. Seems like might be too much. If you end up like looking at your arm, it's actually, you start looking at your arm and start bending it. It's really normal. It's like animators acting their scene. Same thing. Don't be afraid. So if you end up doing this for like a good 5 minutes, you're not alone. We all do this. So like, be like, is this how my hand moves? So I was getting there. Think now more of those weights will be right here. I think I want to lower it more. It's too harsh for what I wanted to do. Oof, that's a bit too much that I want in it. So I'm gonna start lowering it. It's a bit better actually. We're starting to get that harsh shape that I was speaking about. But it feels too lumpy. It feels like it's too much. And this is basically what skin weighting is. It doesn't seem very fun, but man, the payoff is really good because when you see your characters being animated and you see those nice deformation going on, it really pays off. It is a very tedious process. It is literally this, just going back and forth. You're like, no, maybe this, nah, maybe more of that. And it's really all comes to this section. So we're almost there. I feel like this might be good for what it does. So we're gonna start bending it. You see those vertices in the back and on the tricep. It's swimming around. That's annoying. I don't want that. So scale it down. Scale it down. All right. It's almost there. I'm grabbing too much of this area. I don't want any attention to the forearm at all. For being a low poly character, I don't want to be grabbing too many vertices. It's still swimming around. The main reason. So let's say I ran into another situation where you're like, it's still swimming, but here when I look at the paint tool, there's nothing on it. That's kind of odd. It usually comes from the previous joint that you're painting, that you're like stealing the paint from. So we'll go to not this one, and we see some of it swimming here. And you probably want to lower it. So I'm gonna smooth it out a bit more. So, bless you. God damn you, why can't you move? That's it. This is, if I can give any more advice, it's pretty much it. It's just like, can't get those details. You gotta make sure they're right. Vertices are not grabbing, so you just end up being like me. You're going to the component editor. You're like, God damn it, why am I not grabbing that thing? Screw it. We're using this thing. What? Why are there so many things being grabbed by other joints? The right side is also grabbing it. That makes no sense. And this is also a very good reminder. Lock your joints. This is a good example. Don't be me. So here, we can start lowering it. Actually, we're gonna start raising it so you can steal more of the weights here. Same goes for here. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. That's probably because it's locked. Thank God I'm also smart. So now we try to test this out. Well, let me zero it out. It's grabbing a lot less. The lower vertices is still grabbing some, but that's very good. Here's another good. Isn't that more of a tip, more of a way of approach skin weighting? So this character's from my film Huanyan, and something that the team wanted is that the character feels sharp. Character looks sharp and they bend sharp because they wanted to feel more. Not human, but more apart from our main character, which is Huanyan. Huanyan is a very bendy, very rounded character. And to really flesh that out and really set him apart is by making sure that the way he moves and the way he bends looks a lot different than the citizens, than the normal humans. So a good approach, something they told me is that they wish the character were like a bit more sharp. So we're going to go to here. And we're going to start adding more of those weights. Hold on, this is the run. One, there you go. So it's a bit sharper. It's almost there. I want it to be a bit more. So it's getting that sharpness I really want. And I liking this is kind of like how I want it. It looks kind of off from like how it's deforming, but that's where you like start to go in. You're like, oh, it's gonna cause some weird deformations, so I'm gonna scale it a bit more. Oof, that's a bit too much. I think this will be enough. Almost too much. So I'm gonna start scaling it. Think this is enough. I think this is a bit better almost. And so little details like that also help out speak the character more. So this could also, but be careful when you're going for like me, going for something sharp. So let's say you're gonna rotate it. It might seem off in certain areas. I know that if I do this, we see that sharpness right here, and that's not what I wanted, but it's also the payoff. It's also like that's kind of like the con and pros when going through these type of approaches. So you have to make sure that when you're skin weighting, you have to be careful how you do it, because animators, despite your elbow going only one axis, your animator is going to be doing all sorts of these. He's going from every axis. If your animator tells you to unlock the other rotation axis, do it, because they're right. I've been doing that for a couple of rigs. That was my fault. So, one tip I should have said in the beginning. You don't want to keep doing this and rotating back and forth. So for the newbies, I'm going to teach you a little basic of animation.
There's a screw on the side you can take.
A little basic of animation. Try to guess. Let's say you want to capture a moment. It's like a picture, but you have to do it on a single button. Which letter will you use? Damn it, you're not supposed to answer. You know too much. No. Yes, the S. Does anyone know what the S stands for? Key. Where's the S in key? Set key. Thank you. There we go. Set key. Plurals. Keys. So yes, thank you. Set keys. So set keys. So On your right, you see all these attributes already red. Ooh, I like red. But on the bottom, you won't really see it, but right here, there's a red line. Cool. What does it do? You okay? Oh, okay.
So then it's just, it's basically holding that whenever you're on that frame, the pose of whatever joint or control or mesh, depending on what you're animating, will stay in that spot.
Correct. Yes, correct. That is exactly what it does. So if I were to move my joint over here, press S, we're gonna see that animation folding. Oh, my character is I was skin weighing the neck. But yeah, but I guess I'll use the neck as an example. The neck here is bending from different directions. So going forward, going backwards, and side to side. This will help me be like, instead of having to like move it constantly, I can start like going in every direction. I can really break down exactly like the stretching here, the folding here. Seems like this is good enough because I don't want to like push any more, because then if I start smoothing out the outer area, it's just gonna look like his whole neck is a part of him. So I like this a lot. Here I like the stretching. That's really good. Here we get that heart shape. That's exactly what I want. And don't worry about the mesh going through. It'll happen a lot, because animators really love to push the pose. So setting keys, let me highlight it. You see keys placed in 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. Super helpful. Super duper helpful. So you don't have to like move it every single time you have it keyed. So you can really break down how those vertices are looking. It's very important. The rest is The rest is just the same process. Going to the slider, you select one by one, flood everything that's in front of it, smooth it out, and once you feel comfortable with how it's looking, skip to the next joint, log everything. Please log everything, and then do the same thing, same process over and over and over and over and over and over. But also don't forget, don't do the other side. You can also mirror. So that's also a big plus. So if you're doing the hand on one side and you're like, oh my God, I really want to punch Maya, just mirror. You don't need to do it twice. Yes.
But which side do you recommend us working on first?
It doesn't matter which side you work on, but just to remind you, positive to negative means that it's going to be from this side, it's going to be from screen right to screen left. If you uncheck the positive to negative, it's going to be from screen left to screen right.
So it's good mirroring on stuff.
Yes. I spent a good quarter or two wishing I knew this. Man, I'm so happy I did. Never going back. Now, here's one thing I will tease. I don't know, next meeting will not cover this, but something that you guys should be like a little homework, right? A little homework for you guys to be contemplating, to be like, God damn it, I can't believe it. I can't sleep at night anymore because Antonio left me with a cliffhanger. What am I going to do now? So, there's one thing. I won't say anything. Don't say anything, Riggers. You too. So, there's one aspect in Maya that you can use. Let's say there's going to be parts, it happens a lot with the shoulder, where here in the front, it looks decent, but in the back, ooh, that's no bueno. And no matter how much your skin weight, it still looks terrible because it ruins the skin weighting. I worked so hard, Antonio. What other solution do I have besides skin weighting? Because skin weighting will do no good. There's only one answer, and that answer will be for another workshop. Thank you for coming, guys. Wait, there's still one last thing. Don't forget to sign up.
Yeah, sign in.
Sign in,
On the
please.
screen over here. And next week, we are not going to be doing that mystery solution that Anthony was talking about, but we will be doing something related to it 2 weeks from now. Next week, we're doing crabs.
Crab.
We're doing
Yes.
crabs because there's a
Probably shouldn't say that out loud.
I have prehistoric crabs in my
Prehistoric crabs?
Why are there so many crabs?
It's just the zeitgeist. The people are into crabs.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of crabs in that.
Everyone in Monty has crabs.
Ooh. Oof.
Start yelling at
Oh, wait.
everyone at Monty.
Oh, wait.
As crabs.
I have one last thing. Let's call this like a bonus feature, like a DVD, but it's gonna be even great. Let's say Maya sucks. What do? So these are lovely options that you can undertake. These are all plugins. If you don't know what plugin is, it's like, think of it like a DLC for a video game. It's not a part of it, but you can download it and you can plug it into Maya and it works just fine. Engine skin tool is super popular. Everyone uses it. It just makes skin winning a lot easier and more intuitive. I don't personally use it only because I want to make sure I know how to use Maya properly because I know I hate it. So when I use NG Skin Tool, I'm going to fall in love with it. It's like love at first sight. I already know her. I just too shy to talk to her. Peter Leighton, I can't pronounce that last name. From Square Enix, he's a senior rigger. From Square Enix, from the same company as Final Fantasy. He has a lovely skinning tool. It doesn't improve it, but it has like a nice quality of life features. You can actually right click the joint and you can say how much of that weight you want to add it, and so you don't have to paint it. It's a lot more like mouse clicking intuitive rather than just using brush. Super nice. I use it a lot because it doesn't really add anything different. It's just better ways to use it. Brave Rabbit, something I heard from the rigging people.
I stand Brave Rabbit. It's really good. The Brave Rabbit weight smoothing is so much better than Maya weight smoothing.
It's basically like it's just imagine like new brushes that you just downloaded for Photoshop. It's the best way I could describe it. So, Antonio, I got no other ways. I need to know more tricks and tips, please. I need more. Is there anything that you can recommend? There's this lovely link I found. I'm just going to script. I'm just gonna copy it. Gonna put. It's a little document. This nice document not only covers paint tips, but also nice guidelines of making sure like how much weight am I supposed to add. It also gives you like tips in typology. It also gives you not just for normal rigging, for game rigs. That's super nice, super helpful. Gives you like good guidelines of how to like what's the edge flow, what's the typology for hands. Also important for like facial rigging. Also joint placement. My favorite part, twist joints. Something not a lot of people know. Twist joints is gonna be super helpful. I won't give into too much information, or else you won't read the dang document. So you gotta read it to find out more. So it's really nice. I love it. It doesn't go way into detail, but it gives you the important little tips that you need to know. So I recommend this document. And that's all I have. That's all the bonus features. Thank you for coming.
Did anybody come in because they needed help on a rig? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. An officer will come to you.
Any questions? Any doubts? Cool.